Hello and welcome everyone. It's great to have you here with us. My name is Tomasz Jędrośka and I'm heading the data engineering business unit here at Codilime. Together with me, Marek, Niedźwiedź, we'll be discussing the last year buzzword, the GenAI, but in a very down-to-earth and how you can benefit from it manner. Marek, to you.
Hello everyone, I'm Marek Niedźwiedź, founder of Codilime. Super excited to be here with you, Tomek, today. We will be talking today about generative AI. Of course, there are many different areas here that can be discussed. What we will focus on is context of business application already today. So we will be sharing with you on what we are working with our customers today, those cases that we can share, try to get you as much details as possible. I will be asking Tomek to make sure that we will not skip those meaty part. And later on, we'll try to leave you with something like where to start, for who it is, etc. So I think we'll start just briefly with setting common vocabulary so everyone will be able to follow. Mm-hmm. So for you guys in the audience, and Tomek, please take it away.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So let's kick off from the AI agents and why AI agents. Many approaches can be taken while dealing with Gen AI. However, we've noticed with our customers that the AI agents in particular are extremely helpful when delivering production value. They simply make it easier. Okay. And also let's compare them to plain AI, plain LLM. To have a fruitful conversation, let me start with agreeing the basic vocabulary. So SaaS versus local, small versus big. So SaaS LLMs is pretty much a paid offering in the form of API like OpenAI or Anthropic, whereas local models are those which you can download on your own machine and play with. With small and big, that's the distinction I'm making. So by small, I mean 3 to 7 billions of parameters usually are handling a specific task, whereas the bigger ones, 100 billion plus, are used for more generic cases. And then to better understand why we are even talking about the need for AI agents, let me briefly mention the known issues of plain LLMs. So what we need to handle, why we need AI agents. So first of all, there are unreliable answers. The industry average here is that around 20% of the prompts end with hallucinations. There are privacy concerns, mostly with SaaS offering of the models. And then also you can end up with a hefty infra bill while self-hosting LLMs. And by the way, here with self-hosting LLMs, we have very good additional material, which we will link under this video. So make sure you check it afterwards. It all leads to the low success rate of GenAI projects last year. So we are talking about 10 to 17% of globally deployed projects only made it to production.
Tomek, I hope, while we'll be discussing business cases, we will try to show you as well how to get to those higher percentages of successful deployment. But for now, if I can ask one thing already here, because I'm being asked quite often about specifically problem of hallucination. Security, of course, is a concern. Sure. We'll touch on that, of course. But do we have already a solution for it, or we are still looking as an industry how to deal with that?
Well, that's why I'm focusing on the AI agents, because what they are, and it will be essential to understand when we're talking about the Gen AI, the AI agents can be treated as some sort of a wrapping layer around the LLM model. So what they offer additionally is with them you can do a multi-step logic. They have additional tooling. They can apply domain-specific reasoning and even can try to make further decisions about further steps in the given area for the given problem. And since usually they are focused on one particular domain, they achieve a drop in hallucinations of from the initial 20 to around or less than 2%. That's what we've observed. So I guess the answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
All right, should we go further?
Yes, I think so.
All right, so the next one, the next thing I would like to cover is single versus multi-agent, but only in a nutshell. So as mentioned before, the single agents tend to be great in one certain area. They can be aligned to this one domain's specific reasoning, form of outputs, etc., etc. So, and the agent frameworks let it also easily operate on top of a dedicated knowledge base, knowledge graph, also build particular users context. So the more questions you ask such model, such framework, then the better the answers tend to be. The multi-agent in turn can be thought of as a coordinator or a team lead for single agents. So what it's going to do, it's going to be responsible for sharing the context information, for picking the best of all available single objects to do the task at hand, and then coordinate gathering the responses from them, right? And pack it nicely and give it back to the user.
So instead of speaking with many different agents, I have kind of, as you mentioned, team lead. Yep. with whom I'm interacting. But it sounds to me like, okay, you can combine today many different single agents with this team lead, but there is already a lot of infrastructure, I mean APIs, knowledge base, that is available and presented either to people or to systems in the enterprises via classical methods like regular APIs, that deterministic, like can you blend it together today? Or you have to wait until everything will be ready to kind of be this kind of agent based?
Yeah, well, simple answer is yes. So the trend nowadays is to build some sort of so-called composite AI. So multi-agent can speak with single agents, but of a different form, of different type, as you mentioned. So they not only need to be LLM based, there can be computer vision, classical ML. So you can fit particular agent to your problem and then orchestrate it all with the multi-agent.
All right.
Okay. All right. And now to show you a bit how such thing could look like, let's take a look at this very simplistic example, simple example project architecture. So in the center of the screen, you already can see that there are already made open source solutions that may significantly reduce the time you would need to build a solution POC, whether it's single or multi-agent. And those frameworks would allow you to interact with local models and with SaaS models kind of seamlessly. And then they would also help you build prompt chains, and they would provide a lot of additional tooling that would save a lot of development time eventually. So improve your speed to production.
And Tomek, as you are explaining this, this will be, of course, very helpful for the audience while we'll be discussing business cases we've prepared for today to frame your mind how you can imagine it. But the one thing I would like to ask here already is that it seems that this ecosystem already has a lot of building blocks, but is it already the case that this is, mature market enough that while working with our customers, you can rely on that, or maybe you can start with it, but you end up building stuff from scratch?
Well, those solutions already available are really neat to build your first POC, but they also have their pros and cons, and I'll mention a bit more about that later on while we'll be discussing the business cases. So there were cases when we decided to take the path of building our own tailored solutions because we needed some sort of higher flexibility. But even that what's available will let you chain your single agents to the corporate applications and data sources you see on the right side. And then as a user, ask a dedicated chatbot or part of your application for answers from those sources. Or, for example, pre-fill some application form with the AI-generated content.
Okay, so everyone, I think basic vocabulary, example architecture, we are done with that. So before jumping into business examples, I strongly encourage you all here with us live to drop some questions in a Q&A, which we'll have at the very end of the webinar today. Feel free to ask any detailed question about the cases or anything else. I will make sure Tomek will answer those for you. And from this place as well, if I can, I would like to thank all our team members that are working on those cases and our fantastic partners and customers. The last 18 months of this movement, working on that was super exciting for us, and we are looking for more. But today we've promised we'll share with you some meat. So Tomek, please take it away.
Yeah, okay. So the first business example. This first scenario is a chatbot solution that we've built for IT network operations team of a big network solutions provider. So as you might or might not know, the work in IT operation teams is pretty much focused on monitoring solutions, configuring new components, analyzing potential incidents, obviously solving them as well. Generally, it requires deep knowledge, and then there are a lot of moving pieces. Teams usually operate on a lot of systems, variety of windows opened at the same time, so it might actually cause occasional incidents, potentially by a misclick in the wrong console. Our project here assumed minimizing one thing, the time needed for getting the new employees up to speed, and the second thing, simultaneously, making it easier and faster for the whole team to perform their duties, having a centralized command center UI with AI agents under the hood, right? So to simplify their work pretty much.
And Tomek, if I can ask on this case, because this case, how you are describing it, is very specific. Those numbers that are presented here are very attractive, I believe, but is it the case that such a gains can be achieved in this business context, or we can expect that moving to different domains, industries, we can see similar benefits?
All right. Well, I agree that this context is quite specific. It's very technical. But what our customer observed is, one thing, the solution reduced the onboarding time by roughly a half. But in addition, the conclusion was that the more robust the duties of particular employee were, then the higher the gain was. And translating that to business English, the more complex are your onboarding processes, the larger savings you can expect. Okay? So, dollar-wise, if we're talking about reducing 6 months onboarding process or making a team member fully productive, it very quickly sums up to 5-digit amount of dollars just for one employee.
I can imagine that overseeing many different units in an organization. I know that onboarding people is both time-wise and dollar-wise expensive for organization, but as well for the new member. Getting up to speed is difficult time, stressful time quite often. So if we can shorten that, that's absolutely great. But yeah, I think yet to be seen how widely it will be adopted. Maybe we should go to the next case.
We can. Just one more thing. It was not only about the onboarding, but also the older team members enjoyed more than 60% lower time needed for reporting duties to their big satisfaction, as you may imagine. And then that is also smoothly adaptable to almost every single corporate environment.
So we are saying the new member is getting quickly up to speed, but he's staying more productive because some of the things that he has been doing.
Well, those repetitive reporting tasks, which people tend not to enjoy, can be done easier and faster.
All right.
So the second use case. So the second use case is maybe a bit more complicated. So let's try to introduce it with an easy example. So even you can imagine if you would like to check the quality of your potential business partner, or let's say compare market information of competing vendors that you're willing to onboard to one of your projects.
So kind of a background check, but for organization instead of for the person?
Yeah, pretty much. So our customer offers a holistic reporting tool that would give you information about pretty much every single company in the world. right? So that is done by gluing together pieces like financial reports, quality of their products, reviews about their products, class of their employees, and so on and so forth. So you can either check or do the comparison on multiple levels, and pretty much because of the fact that the team was able to connect pieces of information from various sources worldwide. Okay.
I see.
Well, the tricky part is here that those pieces don't always match. Companies can have similar names, or the same names, even though they are different companies. Data sources might lack some necessary information, making it difficult to connect new puzzle to the whole picture. And going back to AI agents, with such a specialized agents, we are able to increase the matching rate, right, between old and new sources by finding similarities by those AI agents by 40%. And by that, significantly reduce the time needed to connect new data source to the whole puzzle. And we're talking about reducing from weeks to days.
I'm smiling because at the very beginning, when we started the company, we had this idea. Today, this is different business. Shout out to Dilavo and Jakub Kot. And the idea was there that we'll be comparing prices of different products available in the internet. The most difficult part by far was to get those things compared well. And back then, even classical ML methods were not so widely available. So we had to do a lot of work to do that. So I guess what you are saying, if you are encountering such a problem, which is, I think, quite often actually visible in the different cases, the tools that are already available today, if you can use them well, make you much more productive.
Well, exactly. So the point here is you mentioned classical ML, but in comparison, LLMs, as the name says, are language models. So they are pretty good with language. So when companies have descriptions or products have descriptions, well, they can offer similarity matching by analyzing that and comparing, right? So that's this additional step here. All right. Additional thing which is worth mentioning here, what I'm proud to say that the team built, is the data cleaning and data wrangling pipeline. So as you've heard, we actually are now merging a new data source in days, and that actually is done by an infra that automatically upscales, downscales, and with this we achieved almost 2/3 savings of the cost, while still be better resilient to traffic peaks, to load peaks, right? So not only better performance at merging, but also reducing the cost of the whole infra. And while we're talking about cleaning and wrangling in the context of GenAI, actually it's super important because your inputs for the GenAI need to be super high quality. Because, well, GenAI tends to, unfortunately, multiply potential faults further, and you would get simply worse results.
I see. I think we can move to the next case. We have 2 more for you guys, so I think, Tomek, we should move on.
Sure. Let's go on. And then I will now turn things around a bit, because the next use case I'm going to describe is the multi-source AI agent. And I would ask you to tell me, because it's useful in the companies, it might be useful for you. So what would you say if I give you a tool that lets you chat with all your corporate applications? And by that I mean CRMs, project management tools, databases, emails, files on your drives in a natural language, right? All together in one tool.
I can express my feelings, like both excited and worried. Excited because I guess it would be nice to have one way of interacting with different data sources. Mm-hmm. But the question which I would ask, and I think you've mentioned this as one of the concerns today, is the privacy of this information, because I wouldn't be worried to have such a tool at my fingertips, but to have it in the organization available to everyone, keeping in mind that everyone has different contexts and different accesses, especially the data related to the personal information. Like, I would really like to hear and see how it's being dealt with, that I, if I'm, InfoSec IT department, allowing such a tool are not introducing potential data leakage to the places where it shouldn't be.
Okay, well, that's why, and here's the place I mentioned before, that this use case exactly required us to deliver a tailored framework. We haven't based our framework on open source. We just built it from the scratch because we needed this sort of flexibility. So similarly to open source models, we actually can connect to both SaaS and local, and for privacy matters, we would connect to local. But then also building the user context, as you said, this framework allows that. So it basically lets you answer a question like, okay, what would be the revenue report for customers I'm meeting this week? So it would figure out from the context of the sentence what would be the order of sub-questions. It would address your calendar, check your meetings. It would address the CRM to confront which of the meetings were with customers. It would go to your invoice database, wrap it all together, and maybe even create a chart, right, for you. So not only textual information, but also graphical one.
I think when you were explaining that, it sounds similar to what I think Salesforce and Mark are talking about, that not only LLM kind of interface for organization, so the privacy within, but as well for the human context. Is it already today possible to do that like that?
Sorry, can you rephrase the question?
Like, we are already there where the question that you've asked at the beginning, so I imagine if such a tool existed, are we there? Like, is it possible?
Well, we've built it and it's in production, so yes,
okay.
We are there. Sometimes you need to ask additional questions, but basically we reduce the number of hallucinations, so yes, you can try it out.
All right.
Additionally, the tool gives you 60% savings when preparing reports, summaries, presentation decks, and that's actually already verified by the metrics acquired from the eventual customers. So is there and proven?
I would be very happy to use it. So coming back to your original question.
Yeah, okay. Well, you need to ask our customer for a license.
We'll do that.
Good. Fourth case?
I think so.
All right. Okay, so the fourth case and the last one, and actually I owe you a disclaimer here. This one is not actually yet implemented in production, but we are running a POC for our customer, and I believe it has such a potential that I simply needed to share it today. So it's the AI-based project management application. And this one has a very similar foundation than the previous one. So it would check the real-time initiative status based on project timesheets, bill of materials, invoices, report decks. So again, talking to your data sources, okay? But previous business case was very generic. So that was a SaaS product for pretty much every single domain. This one is specific, and that led our team to apply reasoning functionalities for the AI agents. So now the system can periodically check available documents versus incoming documents for potential gaps, for things that are inconclusive, contradictory pieces, and then based on that, generate on its own emails to project stakeholders, asking for more detailed information or explain things, entries in the risk reports, follow-up actions, some sort of resource utilization reports, whatever you want, right? So basically it's aiming at lowering the cost of running a project PMO office. And enrich such a work, right, and make it far easier.
So with those kind of capabilities at hand, whole program management, what's left there? Like, is it fully automated or?
Well, I still see a need for a human factor. Obviously, I believe people should set strategic, tactical goals. Most probably they will perform negotiations. They would run the project on a daily basis, interact with people, solve potential issues, right? But then they would be reinforced with a tool that automatically creates scenarios, that sends messages, have action recommendations. So their work would be simply far more efficient.
I see. So as many of you will be familiar, like engineering in general is benefiting hugely from copilots, either local or those SaaS ones. But it sounds like right now, as a management group in the organization, I don't have to envy anymore. Like I can use something that makes me more productive. Like I can focus on more creative, interesting work. Like, Is it the case already?
Yeah, well, I believe that's going to be a case. Again, this is not yet implemented, but I'm happy to say that we are actually running it in Codilyme's R&D center. So we will not be tied to one particular customer, but we will be able to implement a similar approach for various customers. So, yeah.
All right. I think with that, we can wrap up our business cases. But before moving forward to the Q&A session, maybe I will, with Tomek, try to briefly summarize and try to answer the question and share with you what we think for who it is, when you should start doing that, and leave you as well with some sort of checklist to really get ready to do that. So first, starting with for who and when, this is kind of a question that you can very quickly answer and say you should be doing that now and everyone should do that because our belief is that long term, there will be not many businesses that are not using this tool, because this is what it is. Like, you want to be using things that are making you most productive and can save you time and money, either as an individual or an organization. But the cases that are already defined there that we shared today are applicable, I think, to the different units in the organization, and you can start with some places. So I would say that especially connecting different pieces of data, getting specific reports, so you can be most productive with quality work, with creative work, like for sales people, a sales organization, you should be looking at that because it makes you much, much more productive. And this kind of like repetitive work can maybe not go away, but can be reduced for any business that have some sort of support, either for the product or supporting people. I think everyone pretty much already had a chance to observe it, whether you are interacting with financial institutions, with healthcare institutions, you are seeing like month to month that those chats are getting better and better. So in the past, you would be calling somewhere and waiting in the line to be contacted with an agent that doesn't know your context necessarily, or you might be put into the place where that person has to transfer you. Today, you will first answer a few questions, so you will be at the end of the day move to the right person, but the context will be already set for this conversation. So I think customers are already seeing those benefits.
Yeah, and that person at the other end of the line might already have a summary of all your previous conversations. So the conversation would be far more productive.
Yes. So it is only not more financially efficient for an organization to run support as that, but customer satisfaction should improve. And you've seen releases last 2 weeks. How video is being generated, like those examples are really beautiful. And if you think, because there are conversations as such, that Hollywood will be and entertainment will be disrupted. So think about marketing departments, think about designers. You should all be using that. Like, this is here to help you and to really spend a lot of time, much more creative, be much more effective at your work, and those summaries that you've mentioned, if you can get them, you can get the tool that will do that for you. Like you will really enjoy your work. And for any, I think, business owners and team leads, you should really try to look at that because you might need some time to get used to it, because this certainly might feel a bit new, but everyone already played with that, like the chat kind of interface that we all get super excited already early last year about. Like, it's getting better and better, and I think you will be seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we all experimented, but I would say let's also try to squeeze the ROI out of it.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, but then how to do it? I will try to give just a few bullet points, but what I strongly believe in is that you should treat the AI or GenAI, if you will, as an integrated part of your business. So what I would advise is not to create it as a silo, but rather start small, but in a harmony with your existing processes, and then if it's okay, then scale up, and then achieve higher and higher value. And as mentioned before in one of the cases, also pay attention to the quality of your data and have the model adjusted to your particular needs, not to the internet trends. And only those 2 bullet points will save you a lot of trouble and most probably significantly will boost your gains. Furthermore, I really strongly encourage all of you to prepare a set of metrics, and I mean to prepare them beforehand, so you exactly know what the level of your success is, and whether we are talking about customer satisfaction, model performance, infrastructure cost. You would exactly know what was the baseline and then where you are at the moment. And lastly, I'm a big fan of the idea that the best way to join this 10 to 17% club of successful GenAI implementation is to use the AI as an accelerator and not a revolution. So simply build on top of your existing competitive advantages, and then benefit from the AI to deliver them faster, smoother to the final users. And then I'm sure that with that, you will be able to celebrate success.
I hope this checklist is useful, and we will share it, of course, with you afterwards. Before we'll jump into Q&A session, maybe as we are preparing it, a short announcement for those who are following us, our website, our channel. I would like to invite you all for our next webinar that we will be having roughly in 3 weeks with our partner Palo Alto Networks about network configuration as a code. Please join us there, and URL to this webinar you will find in the details of this webinar.
Exactly. All right. So I think we are now ready for the Q&A session. So.
Okay, I think the question should be directed to you, so I'll be doing the reading
great.
of the questions, and you can try to answer them.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Let's take the first question. How are you dealing with public AI versus on-premise? There are a lot of security and private data concerns.
Yeah, so I think we kind of touched on that in one of the cases. So either we're using the open source frameworks functionalities focused on that, or we implement our own tailored framework. Basically, in the areas where privacy matters, we usually use local models, additionally trained with reinforced learning and so on and so forth, based on knowledge base or knowledge graph, if you will.
So as I understand your answer and to this question, when the privacy is concerned and you have to deal with private data, we are trying to use local models. And there's this different aspect that you've touched on when you've asked me a question, having already such a tool available within an organization. In the realm of organization, that data is not leaving an organization. There's additional layer which makes sure that different people with different contexts and clearances do not have access to the data they shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly, and we pay attention to validating that, because that's a clear one of the most important cases here.
I hope this answered this question. Let me maybe go to the next one. Do you see more success with custom training of models or using knowledge-based access for getting consistent context-specific answers?
I would actually say both. And here I think I would also send you to our blog and to the ODSC conference. One of the speeches, I don't remember by whom, but I've actually rated it very highly, about reinforced learning. And I would say that knowledge base and getting your knowledge graph reinforced with metadata and then traversed through the graph correctly. That's one key thing here. And then you teaching the model with reinforced learning, that's another. So I would say both.
All right. The next question, what is your I don't see. Oh, now I see it. What is your approach to keeping the cloud computing cost at reasonable level? Very valid question, actually, because there is huge build out today of infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I think the cost of generating tokens are getting lower, but how we are dealing with that?
So there are two things, and I think for the first part, which is preparing the data, I already answered partially. So the data cleaning, data wrangling, that's also a thing you need to take care of, and the infra cost here also can be significant. Whereas in the GenAI and the model area, I would say pay attention to those smaller models which are now available, since even latest articles showed that the smaller 7 billion parameter model can in certain areas be far more effective than GPT. Plus you can further use reinforced learning to teach it further and then achieve far better results. So I would say that would be my approach.
All right. We have one more question. All right. What is your opinion? That might be a tough one. About the recent developments in the area of small LLMs outperforming the big players like OpenAI, ChatGPT?
Well, that's actually not tough, because that's exactly what I just said. So you should pay attention to those new developments because they might be super interesting. And by the fact that the model is small, it will definitely first make your performance a lot better, then decrease the cost of the whole thing because the model is simply smaller.
So do you think right now we will be headed down this path that the models, which was taught before, will be getting bigger and bigger? We will be paying much more attention to get them smaller, more price
specialized. I would say I would in the corporate area and for usual corporate tasks, I would recommend looking into smaller models, because you don't need a model that knows ancient history. You need a model that does task at hand and does it in the best possible way. So definitely that would be a path to take, in my opinion.
All right. I think we went through the questions. So unless there is any other question, I think we'll be wrapping up. So Tomek, first of all, thank you very much for preparing and allowing me to just ask you some questions. And thank you to all our team members working on those projects and supporting those team members as well. Thank you to our partners and customers. I see we have one more questions. Maybe we can answer this as well. Mm-hmm. To provide more security in SaaS models, is it bad practice to use a framework to abstract or dilute sensitive data? And would that provide consistently valuable output? Or is it best to use local models?
Hold on, because I need to understand the question to provide my security. Well, I think if some organization decides to use SaaS model, they are already open to giving up on some privacy, right? So usually I tend to see approach that either we use SaaS because that's our philosophy, or we have contracts formulated like that. And then whether it's a bad practice or not, that's not me to dispute, because that's customer's decision. When the privacy, where the privacy matters, I would say I usually start with recommendation to use local model, but that obviously depends on the particular case. Hopefully that answers the question, but if not, yeah, then please maybe ask further.
I think for now we
or
can
contact us offline.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. Feel free to reach out to me, to my team. We will be very happy to help you. This journey is absolutely exciting. So thanks again to our partners and customers, to you, Tomek, for being
Marek.
here, and to all our employees that makes it possible. I think there's much more to come, and we'll try to share with you in the future as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.